Taking your kids' screens away isn't going to fix anything, and I know that's not what you want to hear, but it's way simpler than you think. Let me show you what I mean. When I got bullied, the only place that I felt status was in a video game. The only place that I felt heard was when I was talking to someone online. But that's exactly why screens become so much more addicting compared to everything. School, progress, anything. Screens become how they emotionally regulate. Not you, not their school, not their grades, their screens. Because it becomes their escape. Because deep down, all they want to be is heard and accepted for who they are. And screens give that to them in the easiest possible way. And kids will always take the easy way out, so screens don't even have a competition to anything else. And here's why. Screens are meeting 3 real needs that your kid is not getting anywhere else. Firstly, safety and control, having no rejection and an easy way to exit. Secondly, it's being able to have belonging to a community, have status, and make progress in something. Then lastly, it's being able to escape their negative feelings in the moment. But taking those screens away without replacing those actual needs is going to just cause fights and not really solve the true problem underneath. And the cost of waiting is huge. Friendships take 40 to 60 hours to be able to just have friends, and 200 plus to have super close friends. Every year that they are staying away from interacting socially, they are falling behind from their peers. For example, I stayed invisible in high school. I played football, and I still didn't make any friends in football because I didn't know how to interact even when I was in an activity. I would just simply show up, I would practice, and then I would go home and game. Nothing else mattered other than that. Later in college, I finally pushed myself to face my fear, but it was already too late. I missed all the memories that I could have made in middle school, high school, that I can never get back now. And your kid is in that window right now. So what you do as a parent matters so much. So I'm going to give you exactly what I wish my parents had when I was struggling through this problem. So let's get into it. Step 1, you want to build connection at home first. Kids will only open up if they're not bracing for a lecture or afraid that if they do open up, it's going to turn into a long talk. Because if your kid expects a lecture, they're always going to give you one-word answers and they're not going to open up and tell you their true feelings. So when they actually have stuff they want to talk about, they'll bring it to you before it explodes. And then this comes to asking better questions. You don't want to ask, how was school? Because you're going to get sometimes a one-word answer. You want to ask questions that are more like this. Who did you sit with lunch today? And what was something that was awkward or funny that happened today? Just things that let them open up to who they are, what was their experience, so that they'll give you more than just a one-word answer. You want to aim for concrete moments during lunch, recess, or any time where they're on their own and not actively learning. And be okay with short answers. The goal is just to be curious about their day-to-day life so that they open up more and more over time. It's less about bombarding them with questions and more about understanding who they are as a person and what they like doing in their day-to-day life. Then it comes down to responding in a way that allows them to keep talking. Because what you do after they share decides if they're going to try again or not. So there's a 3-step sequence to be able to remember. Firstly, reflecting. For example, so when they moved tables away from you, it felt like they didn't want to be around you. Secondly, validate. That would hurt anyone. I would also feel weird if that happened to me as well. And then thirdly, you want to ask what they need. Do you want me to just listen to you, or do you want me to give you advice? And if they say listen, just listen to them. If they say they need advice or help, move to problem solving and how you can help them in that moment. I want to think of your relationship with your child like a jar of marbles. Every marble that you put in is a good conversation where they're opened up and felt heard, and every time that they open up and they get a lecture, that's a marble coming out of the jar for your relationship. This is so important because if they don't feel safe coming to you, they'll find somewhere else to get that feeling. That could be from screens, bad influences, bad friends. So you want to be that person that they come to when they have an issue compared to anybody else. Because your kid will talk more if they feel like you understand them before you try to guide them. Now to step 2, practice at home. Some parents think that if they throw their kids into sports that they're going to make friends instantly, but that's not how it works because you're throwing them into a game when they haven't had any practice at all. Kids will often freeze because they don't have the practice reps that they need so that they don't freeze in an actual real situation. And social skills are skills, they're trainable, and if you don't put the time into developing them, they're going to be underdeveloped. Being able to handle rejection, being able to join a group, this all comes from actual reps. Because I think a lot of times parents might think that they're sensitive, but most of the time it's just because they haven't had the reps to be able to build a thicker skin that they need. So how you want to set this up is first you want to show them the behavior and how you should be able to react and role play it. You want to do it together and take turns trying out both sides of how you should be able to act in that moment. Before any feedback starts, you want to ask them how that felt 1 to 10 on how scary it was. And here are some of the best scenarios to roleplay that many kids struggle with. Asking to join a group that's already playing, starting a conversation from scratch, hearing no without shutting down or lashing out, responding to teasing without escalating, being able to say sorry and move on, For me, it was understanding when I was being laughed at, not with. That's why it's so important to practice at home so they know the difference between someone that is making fun of you or actually having fun. And you want to be able to give them feedback without deflating them. How you do this is you give them feedback saying, hey, you did this specific thing very well. You want to ask them how it felt before you suggest anything. A lot of times they'll name out the fix themselves. Also, you want to make sure that it's one tweak, not a long list of things. It's also great to end by naming the progress out loud. Last time you were at this level and this time you're at this. You're improving a lot. You want to use the ask don't tell rule where you ask them to reflect on what they could do better is great because it helps them have the insight stick longer in their head because they suggested it themselves. Now we get to step 3. You want to replace screens with the right type of activities. Because if they have unstructured hangouts, it's really hard for a shy kid to be able to place themselves in the group and speak up for themselves. Because many parents will try this, but they want to be in screens even more because they can't speak out or talk because of the situation that they're in. But what actually works is small structured groups with the same people every single week. The activity is the hook and the friendships will continue to grow on the side. Because when they're in the same activity, they're twice as likely to make friends, especially if you do the practice at home. Every weekly meeting is another rep where they're seeing the same people and having conversations to be able to build up that 50 to 60 to 200 hours of friendship that is needed. And here's how you pick the right activity. You want to start with just one thing that checks all these boxes. You want to have around 2 to 8 kids. You want a predictable routine with the same kids and the same schedule every week. You want to build it around something that they already like. And you want to make it cooperative, not just competitive. Some questions to ask is how big are the groups? How are shy kids handled? And what happens if someone is left out? You want to use their screen interests as a bridge. So you can meet them where they are and help them bridge the gap to real people. For example, if they love Minecraft, a gaming design club or a coding club would be perfect. If they love YouTube, you can find a film or content creation class for them. If they love gaming, you can find a chess or board game event. Because having just one good friend is huge for their confidence at this stage. Because when the child sees the same kids every week and they experience the same wins together, they grow a sense of belonging and they realize that they have the confidence to be able to make the friends that they need and help them create the identity that they're trying to create. Now step 4, you want to make real life the game. Screens are so hard to compete with because they give it very easy ways to progress. There's always a next checkpoint, there's always another mission. It gives them instant feedback, visible progress, and it feels like they're moving forward. Where real life there is, but it's way more difficult to be able to realize. So for this, you want to set clear social goals. Because being more social doesn't mean anything to a kid. It has to be something like, hey, say hi to one of your classmates today. Or ask to join a group this week. Start one conversation at lunch. Let them help you pick the goal that actually matters to them. Start small and slowly but surely rank up the difficulty as they get more used to it. You want to create a simple chart so that they can be able to visually see their progress and see how they're getting better and improving over time. This allows them to feel motivated from things that are actually happening in real life, and it manufactures the game experience into real life. You want to always celebrate the attempts, not the outcome that happened. So you could be able to say, hey, look how far you went. This is how you were beforehand, which will give them that progress that they need. Now, you want to name the skills, not the traits, because the words that you use every day for your child becomes the words that they think about for themselves. So instead of saying that you're a shy kid, you're still working on speaking up more. Every day that you try, it gets a little bit easier. If they have an awkward moment, hey, that felt rough, but you did put yourself out there and you tried and you're going to get better every single time. Nobody ever taught me that what people said about me didn't have to be the reality of what I believed about myself. That's what you're actually building when you change your language around your kid. They start believing in themselves because they don't have titles that limit them to a specific role. A great end of day ritual is asking them one question. What did you do today socially to be able to push yourself a little bit more? And when they answer, it doesn't matter what they say. If they just tried, that's the thing that counts most. Anything to saying hi, feeling uncomfortable in the moment, to starting a conversation, it's all progress and it should be celebrated. Over time, they'll stop seeing the failures and they'll start seeing progress. And this can spill over to school, grades, how they act in home life, because they have a sense of responsibility and they're building the identity every single day that they push themselves to be that person. When I broke out of the hiding cycle, life became beautiful. I was able to go to networking events by myself, I was able to talk to people, and I became the extrovert that I always was. I started taking salsa classes and I made real friends that actually care about the things I care about. My grades improved a lot, my relationship with my family grew stronger, and screens weren't the cage that I was living in anymore. I was living life and doing the best that I can do to grow. And it took me until 22 to be able to get there. I made this video so you can give your kid the head start that I never had. Your kid is just waiting for someone that can be that person to listen to them and push them a little bit more. You already are that person if you've watched this video. You don't have to do everything in this video, you just want to pick one thing and start making progress little by little like anything. I'll be posting more content and resources that help you through through every step of this.